So this is the first Race Network Leaders and Future Leaders event of the 2023 series. So hello, everyone. I'm Javid Thomas, co-founder of Race Equality Matters, along with co-founder Raj Tulsiani, who is also the CEO of Green Park, and I'm the founder of the Collaboratory. Due to popular demand, it will be a very interactive and collaborative event, and we'll explain also if people need a sort of respite within the event, etc. So we're delighted to see the numbers are growing, and we're expecting 300 plus actually organisations today from all over the UK. We've got from Belfast to Bury St Edmunds, Leeds to Leamington Spa, Maidstone to Manchester, and Newcastle to Norwich. Next slide, please. Before we start, a bit of housekeeping. We acknowledge and we are looking to help make our events more accessible. Closed caption has been enabled in the main session. We've been recommended a solution for the virtual breakout rooms, and we'll provide a link in the chat if you need to use captions for that. This event is being recorded, except the breakout sessions, and it will be available for you to access along with the slides in about a week or so time. Your sound will be auto-disabled, apart from when you go into the breakout sessions. So please do share ideas and questions in the chat, and we will do our best to respond to your questions. The chat will be extremely busy following each virtual breakout session. So a heads up if you need to switch it off if you're utilizing accessible tools, because you might have a lot of pings going on. Please tweet and post social media content during and after the event and help us grow our reach and ultimately community of change makers to create the change. Next slide, please. So based on your feedback of wanting more time to network and share ideas and learn from each other, today will be our most interactive Race Network Leaders and Future Leaders event. It's all about you sharing your ideas, thoughts, and experiences with each other. Our aim is to collect a bank of great ideas and solutions and then share them with you all after the event. So the more you contribute, the more you will get back. Sounds good? Okay. So over the next action-packed hour and a quarter, you will hear hot off the press some early insights from Race Equality Week that has also shaped today's event. You'll also have the opportunity to take part in polls. There will be three virtual collaboration groups. There'll be more than 10 minutes each, so you can exchange and discuss ideas with peers on three key topics that you've selected: active allyship, KPIs and what gets measured gets done, and how to make race equality everyone's business. We will also share what else is in the pipeline for Race Equality Matters, including the opportunity to become a new trailblazer. We'll finish at 1:45 p.m. Thank you. Next slide. Just in case you're new to Race Equality Matters, and we see quite a few of you are, here's a quick introduction. So we exist to enable impactful change by providing free tools, support, and resources for race networks and other change makers in organizations across the country and beyond. We so far co-created 6 impactful solutions in collaboration with those lived experience of race inequality. So there are a number of you here today I've seen that have been part of creating the solutions. Our solutions so far include Race Equality Week, which happened in February, with over 4,500 organisations engaged, and there's more on this later. It was powered by Green Park and Lloyd's of London. Safe Space, a facilitated dialogue between 3 to 5 EXCO board members and up to 10 ethnic minority colleagues. It provides the structure and a safe environment to enable brave conversations, uncomfortable discussions, which we know is needed, but more importantly, drives meaningful action. And we've got a new iteration of it coming out soon. The Big Promise, which is all about turning words into action, involving the wider workforce. In a nutshell, you choose from a list of 7 magnificent promises, which have been determined by our network and those with lived experience of race inequality. Tea Break, an organisation-wide theme discussion, which enables you to hear the honest voice and feelings of your colleagues across the organisation. This was co-created with Network Rail's Cultural Fusion Network, so hats off to them. And then My Name Is, which many of you may know about, which is all about making sure we get other people's names correct. Next slide, please. And recently, 5-day challenge, which we'll touch a bit more later, and look at the resources. We put the link to it in the chat. All of this would not be possible, next slide, please, without the support of our partners, who along with Green Park are funding Race Equality Matters. And a big thank you to our newest Lloyd's of London, who along with Green Park powered Race Equality Week last year, and they will be powering Race Equality Week in 2024. Next slide, please. We must also say a big thank you to our lifetime visionary partner, BET, and also partners Auto Trader, HS2, Edelman, and Network Rail. Their support means we can run Race Quality Week and that you can access all our other resources for free. Next slide, please. Thank you all for participating in poll 1. This is how we sort of get to see the state of the nation and can share this data with you, so you can all see how your organizations are progressing versus a wider community of organizations and networks. So firstly, would you consider yourself to be so 51% ethnically diverse or appropriate equivalent here, so that's half of us, and then 30% an active ally and 17% ally. And the reason we've split them up today is because today's event is all about how to enable allies to become active allies. And we share some important data on the difference and the gap in many organizations. Question 2, in your organization, where do you sit? So we see here quite a mix. So 31% of D&I, 11% HR, 18% senior leaders, 27% race network members, and 24% race network leads. And there's a further 15% that identify as other, so it's good to have a nice mix here today. Question 3, how well do you think your organization tackles race inequality? So looking at the positive side, the well and the really well, it's just 34%. So 34%. And then little, not enough, or not at all is 65%. So nearly 2/3 here. I think their organizations are doing a little, not enough, or not at all in tackling race inequality. Question 4, do you feel your network has influence in your organization? Someone once told me networks, they're good support places, but don't have the teeth to create change. Anyway, what's good to see here today, a good amount and a great deal is 39%. And then a little, not enough, or not at all, no influence is 45%. So sort of, and then obviously some of you don't have a network or not sure. So I think 40% is close to, or 39% should I say, is close to the highest we've had so far. So maybe there is some progress in organizations, and hopefully after today's event that them numbers will go higher in the near future. In your organization, who do you think is playing a key part in tackling race inequality? So 56% of you think ethnically diverse colleagues, 43% the race or equivalent network, staggering 26% think very few people, so that's only a quarter think are saying that very few people. And then high on here is 50% saying the D&I functions and 33% saying leaders, 17% saying managers. So again, we typically get managers being around the 20% mark. So these figures are consistent with our polls during Race Equality Week. Question 6, in your organization, of those who are not ethnically diverse, approximately what percentage are tackling race inequality? So a high 74% believe less than a quarter of colleagues who are not ethnically diverse are tackling race inequality. So that's significant. And only 4% think 3/4 or more of their staff are. Again, it shows the emphasis on the need of how do we make it everyone's business, which we'll be looking at later. Question 7. Do staff in your organization have KPIs for tackling race inequality? Again, the subject matter later today. So 44% saying no and 26% saying not sure. We could argue that means 70% don't think there's KPIs in their organizations for tackling race inequality. 12% say all employees, and 12% say managers, and 17% saying leaders. So very few, we're talking 80-90% do not have KPIs. And we all know what gets measured gets done. Question 8, in your organization, do people call it out when racist or inappropriate comments are made? Most of the time and always is 21%. So 1 in 5, which is reasonably positive because we know a long way to go. 54% sometimes, And then 25% hardly ever or never. So 25% hardly ever or never. So again, what we want to try and do is move these numbers up the scale. Question 9. Has your organization done anything that has made a noticeable impact in tackling race inequality? So 49% saying yes, and we'd love to hear from you, and you could be a future trailblazer. And then it's a 50% saying no or not sure. And final question 10. Has your organization taken part in any of the following? So Race Equality Week 2023, 29%. So only sort of like 3 in 10 here took part in Race Equality Week 2023. And we'll share some data and stats of showing the impact it's made, especially making it everyone's business. The 5-day challenge, 26%. So again, 1 in 4 of you. And then Safe Space, 8%, Tea Break, 8%. My Name is 21%. And Big Promise, 11%. So thank you all for completing this. And we'll address a lot of these issues or gaps, or let's say the more negative scores, with a subject matter for today's event. Okay, before we focus on today's first theme, active allyship, as your special part of the Race Equality Matters Network, we thought we'd share some early and exclusive insights from Race Equality Week and the theme, it's everyone's business. And these aren't finalized, but we thought we'd share some with you. We're still analyzing data, so it's a sneak preview exclusive for yourselves. So thank you for turning up today. Next slide, please. So 61% say their organizations do not focus on action, change, and impact. So 61% not focusing on action, change, and impact. So maybe a lot of talking or very little activity. And only 24% say managers are playing key part in tackling race inequality. So we know they have the power and the influence, but only 24% feel that. Next slide, please. 100% believe allies are crucial in tackling race inequality. So 100% believe allies are crucial. But 3 in 4 allies are not active allies. That's the feedback we're getting. 3 in 4 are not active allies, and that's why it's a hot topic for today. Next slide, please. 94% say that making race equality everyone's business will make an impact. So 94% making it everyone's business will make an impact. Next slide, please. Here are people who are making their business and taking action by making commitments and being transparent with their big promises. So that tool is still available on our website and it's free. Next slide, please. The top 3 big promises that people are making. So 89% is calling out challenging racism and microaggression. And we saw in the poll earlier that not so many people were taking action there. Learning and proactively act anti-racist, 83% are saying that. And then take action more than just talk about race inequality, 63%, that's their commitment. So these are really positive and address, I guess, the gaps we had in our opening State of the Nation polls. So, you know, a lot of credit to the people that are making these promises. So thank you for that. Next slide, please. We'll shortly go into our first collaborative discussion, and the theme is active allies. But what has become clear is a significant difference between an ally and an active ally. So insights we got from ethnically diverse employees during Race Equality Week. So this is from ethnically diverse colleagues throughout the country. 77% said less than a quarter of allies are making an impact on tackling race inequality. So less than a quarter are making an impact on tackling race inequality. That means 3/4 of colleagues are not being active. Next slide, please. So to put this into context, if your organization has 10,000 employees, and let's just say 20,000, so 2,000 are ethnically diverse, that leaves 8,000 non-ethnic diverse employees. Of the remaining 8,000 employees, 6,000 are not helping tackle race inequality. So that's 6,000 of 8,000 are not helping tackle race inequality. And I think that's the heart of the problem, and hopefully some of today's sessions will help address that. Depressing, I know. That's why we need to enable allies to become active allies. However, there is some positive news that 9% of ethnically diverse colleagues did say that 75 to 100% of their organization workforce are making a difference. So that's 10%. So 1 in 10 are saying the majority, if not all their staff, are making a difference, which is fantastic. Next slide. So to set the scene, we think the following by Martin Niemöller, and I apologize if I said the name incorrectly, sums up the importance and need for us to be active allies. First they came, First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and again, I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. So I said, you'll get these slides after, so you can access that poll if you find it helpful. Thank you. Personally, I find, next slide, please, found that quite thought-provoking. So how can allies be active? Here's a suggestion in a short video by YouTuber and comedian Francesca Ramsey. Play video, thank you.
Hey friends! So I'm trying something different with my setup, and I don't know if it's working, but you will deal. Imagine your friend is building a house, and they ask you to help, but you've never built a house before. So it'd probably be a good idea for you to put on some protective gear and listen to the person in charge, otherwise someone's gonna get seriously hurt. Look, I'm helping! It's the exact same idea when it comes to being an ally. An ally is a person that wants to fight for the equality of a marginalized group that they're not a part of. We need your help building this house, but you probably should listen so you know what to do first. Let's do this. So here are my 5 tips for being a good ally. Understand your privilege. Now, a lot of people get hung up on the word privilege, so let me break it down for you nice and easy. Privilege does not mean that you are rich, that you've had an easy life, that everything's been handed to you and you've never had to struggle or work hard. All it means is that there are some things in life that you will not experience or ever have to think about just because of who you are. It's kind of like those horses that have those blinders on. They can see just fine. There's just a whole bunch of stuff on the side that they don't even know exists. So for example, there are currently 29 states where you can legally be fired for being gay, and there are 34 states where you can legally be fired for being trans. Now, as a straight cis woman, those are things that I don't have to ever think about if I don't want to. I'm not going to be fired because I'm straight, and I'm not going to be fired because I'm cis. So it makes sense that before I can fight for the rights of others, I have to understand what rights I have and others don't. That's privilege. Listen and do your homework. It sounds like a no-brainer, but it's not possible for you to learn if you aren't willing to listen. So you gotta know when to zip up the lippa. I don't know. You get what I mean. But that's the thing that's so cool about social media. There are so many people sharing their stories all around the world and connecting with people that they normally would never get a chance to without the power of the internet. So do your homework. Start reading blogs, tweets, news articles, and stories so that you can get caught up on the issues that are important to the communities that you want to support. Speak up, but not over. If the Fight for Equality was a girl group, the ally wouldn't be the lead singer or the second lead singer. They'd be Michelle. An ally's job is to support. You want to make sure that you use your privilege and your voice to educate others, but make sure to do it in such a way that does not speak over the community members that you're trying to support or take credit for things that they are already saying. This isn't Mario Kart. Stay in your lane. Realize that you're going to make mistakes and apologize when you do. Nobody's perfect. Unlearning problematic things takes time and work, so you are bound to mess up and trip and fall. But don't worry, you can brush yourself off and get right back up. And back up! Just remember that it's not about your intent, it's about your impact. So when you get called out, make sure to listen, apologize, commit to changing your behavior, and move forward. Last but certainly not least, actually the most important thing on this list is remember that ally is a verb. Saying you're an ally is not enough. You got to do the work. 1 through 4. 1 through 4.
Okay, thank you. And the video, if you want access to it, is in the link, and we'll send it after the event as well. So thank you, Francesca, for that. Okay, so the objective of the first session is to go into breakout groups and share your personal experience in the current organization or from elsewhere, what works or what can be done to enable, encourage allies to become active allies. So what have you seen and what do you think could encourage, enable allies to become active allies? So this is your chance to learn from each other and share your own thoughts as well. So we'll create about maybe about 25 groups, and throughout the sessions today, you'll go into different groups, so you'll meet different people. We also know some of you may feel uncomfortable going to a breakout session. So if that is the case, feel free to not go into the breakout group. We understand that. But for maximum benefit, it's important that as many do go into collaborate so we can learn from each other. Others may want to keep their camera off when you go into the breakout room, and we understand that and support that if that helps with inclusivity. Also, to know when you go into the breakout session, we don't record that. So that's all just between yourselves in that room. We're going to allow for 13 minutes. We suggest someone volunteers as a chair to enable everyone to have a say and also to keep track of time. So yeah, let's everyone have a chance to have their say. We'll also give a 1-minute warning before the end, so that'll come up on screen. So when you go into the breakout session, take yourselves off mute. Don't take time introducing yourselves because you will use up all that 30 minutes. And I think, again, in the chat now, we've just put that link if you want captions, whilst it's a special captions thing, which you may know about when you're in the chat. So if we can put everyone in the chat now, please chat into the breakout sessions. And we'll see you in about 13 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back. Okay, whilst everyone's coming back in the room, I hope that was helpful. What will be really good now, so we want to collate, and the idea is we share sort of 50 top tips from today's event with you all after. So can you just all go in the chat and bullet, or just simple things, is put down 1 or 2 ideas of what you think will help allies become active allies. So just put your own thoughts, or what you might have heard of that sort of resonated with you, because I know some people had good ideas in the group I was in. So if you just put it in the chat, we'll give you about 30 seconds. That'll be great. And I said we'll collate all this, and yeah, we'll share it, and it'll all be shared anonymously. Sorry. So, but we'll also be able to identify if lots of people said idea A or idea B, we'll be able to sort of, let's say, lots of people said this, so you get a real sense of, I'm going to call it, our own version of a heat map, which is not pretty, but it'll be a heat map of some sort. Thank you. So you see human library, great. And whilst people are doing that, I think one thing that sort of showed about allies and active allyship, ignoring some of the elements of it, but is what happened with Gary Lineker recently. He made a call, and then basically, allies stood up with him, and then I guess it changed the direction of what the possible outcome might have been. So I think that's just a really clear way of showing when allies unite and become active, then change can happen. So it's possible. So thank you for that. Okay. So brilliant. So keep doing that. We'll go on to the next topic. So next slide, please. This is focused on KPIs, targets, and measures, and the priorities that are set when what gets measured gets done. And it was touched in our the group I was in, actually, about measurements and targets. Okay, when we polled our community and asked if there are organizations that have a clear and actionable written plan, a race action plan to address race inequality, 66% said yes. 66% have a plan, which is brilliant. 34% no. That's positive. Then we asked, does your organization have KPIs focused on addressing race inequality? Only 40% said yes. So 66% have a plan, but only 40% have KPIs. And we know that what gets measured gets done. So if we look at the 66% of organizations with a race action plan, the questions to ask them are, how are they measuring progress without KPIs? How are they able to identify if they are actually making an impact? And how do they know if the activity they are implementing in the race space is actually working? There can be a lot of activity, but is it making a difference? Next slide, please. This lack of measurement is out of step with what we typically know. And Prince Yaboa said in our group, organizations do have KPIs with targets for other key business priorities. For example, billable hours if you're a law or accountancy firm, customer satisfaction targets, waiting times in telephone queues or queues in general, sales and health and safety targets. So this is quite normal in most organizations. So let's go to our insights again. Next slide, please. So going back to that, 60% of organizations don't have targets or measures for tackling race inequality. I guess this reflects why progress is so slow. So where's the motivation for people? So our sample of organizations don't have KPIs, have 1 million employees. So these 1 million employees have no targets, no goals, no incentives, no motivational guidance on what to focus on in tackling race inequality. But they may have a sales target, which they'll focus on. So how can these organizations be really driving change? We believe this is a key reason from our research, where we are told by 61% of employees that their organization do not focus on action, change, and impact. So we want to collaborate with you and see if we can change this. So we're now going to give you, next slide, please. We're now going to, so that's the 60%, don't focus on action, change and impact. So we're going to give you a chance to go into breakout group. And the question is, what are the KPIs, targets or measures you think will make an impact and or accelerate progress when it comes to driving race equality? So basically, what are the KPIs or targets that will make a difference? Once again, we know some of you may feel uncomfortable going to a breakout session, so feel free to stay on this side of the camera or of the rooms, and others may want to keep the cameras off, which we will support. We're not asking you to suggest actual percentages or numbers. It's just the type of KPIs and measures. Again, we'll collate everyone's thoughts when you come out of the room. So what KPIs would make an impact on driving race inequality? So if you can go into the groups, we'll have about 13 minutes and you should be in a new group. If we can put them into 25 groups, I think it is. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, thank you. Welcome back, everyone. So fascinating group I was in. Some really good ideas there. And to be fair, everything people shared are either organizations are doing, and I see it's making a difference. So as I said, we want to share all these ideas with you. So I'm sure you took notes in your own little groups of ideas, but if we can all put them in the chats now, so we'll give again that 30, 40 seconds. If we just throw it in the chat, and I said, we'll pool this all together, share with you in about a week or so time. It'll be anonymized, so you won't know who said some of these ideas. And some maybe, you've got these sort of KPIs, measures, targets in your organizations, and some just had some good ideas in our group. So yeah, if we do that, that'd be fantastic. I think this is really important, and I know some organizations said they're looking to incorporate KPIs in that. So, but hopefully this kind of 50 top tips will be useful for you to have a look at after. One thing that was mentioned in our group was about people sharing their characteristics in staff surveys and that. We know it's an issue. We have done some events and we'll look at events in the future about it. But if anyone's very interested in it, drop us a line at info@raceequalitymatters.com and we'll touch base with you on that. Okay, so please keep putting your things in there. What we'll now do is just a quick, for social media purposes, we'll just do a couple of screenshots of everyone here today. So we'll be in gallery mode. So please do turn your camera off if you'd rather not be in the camera, or you're having a bad hair day like me. So we'll take a few screenshots. So Catherine, Antonia, and Anna will be doing that. If you can say, yeah, I'm looking at everyone, nice smiles there. No spinach in teeth yet. Can I see? No. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay. And hopefully, by coming to our events, you know about these things. So obviously, if you need 2 or 3 days to get ready for this photo opportunity, please do so in the future. That's why we give you sort of 1 day's notice to go. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. Team, are we okay for that? I can't hear anyone.
Just one more.
Okay. Thanks, Anna. Thank you. Thanks everyone for bearing with us. Okay. Right, so we're going to the next one. So what we thought we'd share actually is some KPIs that we have collated over our event and also from another organization, which we'll share with you now. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is from the diversity movement. It's a diversity consultancy based in the US. And they recommend the following as data to collect, and they got a good video explaining this. This would enable KPIs and targets to be set. So they categorize, diversity, equity, inclusion, and then elements in it. So again, we share these slides and the video of today's event afterwards, so you can get that if you've not taken a photo of that. Next slide, please. The second measures are what we gathered from a variety of sources, including expert speakers. So you can see here racial diversity and representation, and someone made a good point about staff, but also your beneficiaries or your customers or your community you're trying to support or work with. Racial inclusion, racial awareness, talent, recognition, and racist behavior. So these are all different measures, and so we'll share this with you after. Next slide, please. Pay and equity, and someone mentioned the ethnicity pay gap. And we see how the gender pay gap's made an impact. Learning and development, policy and embedding, either policies being adhered to. And I think someone in our group said about, looking at organizations dealing with complaints and what is the makeup of the people making the complaints, and then also what are the outcomes. Is there a difference between different characteristics, etc. And need to acknowledge some sort of sources for this: Network Rail, the Park Review, 30% Club, Flair, and event attendees and speakers. So thank you all for that. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're moving on to our final discussion topic. How can you and your race networks continue to make race equality everyone's business? So how can we make race equality everyone's business? So from our research, 94% say tackling race inequality needs to be everyone's business. And a lot of people said that in one of our early discussions about the allyship. But 77% say less than a quarter, so that's less than a quarter of non-ethnically diverse colleagues are making an impact. This is a stat we shared with you earlier. So that means 3/4 of colleagues are not. And considering that in most organizations, ethnically diverse colleagues are significantly in the minority numbers. Therefore, for change to happen, we need to look how to enable it to become everyone's business. And I think a couple of people touched upon that. So how can this be achieved? Next slide, please. Race Equality Week is one of them options, and just some stats. So 93% would recommend a Race Equality Week to other organizations looking to tackle race inequality. And we noticed, I think it was about 30% here today took part in it. 74% said it helped unite organizations on race inequality. And 74% says it helps create and retain a focus on race inequality with senior leaders. And again, that was touched upon, the need for leaders and managers. Next slide, please. 79% says it helps unite employees around tackling race inequality. So this uniting of employees is absolutely crucial. And 66% think Race Equality Week has helped inspire more employees to take a greater role in tackling race inequality. So again, it's a gift there. Your Race Equality Week is a spark for more momentum. So the data shows it realized, so if your organization didn't take part in Race Equality Week, why not join in 2024? So there's plenty of notes here to help make race equality everyone's business. The 5-day challenge, is there a next slide for that? The 5-day challenge is a solution we launched for Race Equality Week 2023. And it includes a series of eye-opener questions, videos, and resources to encourage change. Well, you think 1,000 organizations have accessed it now. 71% think the 5-day challenge will have an impact on race inequality in their organization. 71%. 75% think that the 5-day challenge will help people commit to tackling race inequality. So a real shift in its momentum we're trying to do. Organizations are still implementing it. Some are making workshop versions of it and rolling it out across the UK. If you want to do more with it, please, we are open for it if you can make a donation or support for Race Equality Matters. Thank you. So there are clearly some solutions like Race Equality Week and the 5-day challenge that can help organizations make race equality everyone's business. So what we'd like you to do is give you an opportunity, if you can do next slide, please, to go into a breakout session. And again, share your thoughts and ideas of how tackling race inequality can be made everyone's business in your organizations. So how do you make it everyone's business? You'll be in new groups of peer change makers who can connect and beyond today's event. Once again, we know some of you may feel uncomfortable, so please don't go into the session. We provided a link in the chat now for captions if people wanted to use that tool. And again, we understand some people may want to keep their camera off. We'll allow 13 minutes for this. So again, share your thoughts and experience and ideas of how do you make tackling race inequality everyone's business. So if you can go in the groups now, that'd be great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for that. So again, without further ado, if we can, some fascinating stuff in my group, if we can just throw it in the chat. I could be cheeky and say, if you don't put anything in the chat, you won't get the magical 50 ideas afterwards. If you want to send stuff to us offline afterwards, again, please do so, because we can appreciate you might not feel comfortable doing that. But our whole thing is all about collaboration and learning from each other. And what I heard in my group is different organizations have got some good stuff going on. So imagine if we pulled it all together and that became the dream organization. So I've got to tell memory. So I think it's Hemant said in our group about there's a lot of input but very little output. You know, also what is the difference being made? So I think that's really important. What activity you're doing, that's not. And one thing for that is something we call trailblazers that we've created. So what are organizations doing that's making a difference? And we'll Anna will put in the link, we've got a Trailblazer event tomorrow to help organizations that think they are making progress be acknowledged for being a Trailblazer, because what we're looking at is organizations that are making a difference. So you can apply to be a Trailblazer. We'd like, I'll just say a few things that are going on for Race Equality Matters that you might be interested in. And if you could take part in the poll, because that'll tell us the stuff you want to learn about or know more about going forward. So I'll release that in a second. So you can apply to be a Trailblazer. Next slide, please. There are two types. One is if you've run one of our solutions, and the other is you come in at bronze level. What's your organization doing? Is it making an impact? And it's decided outside race equality, but everyone's ethnically diverse, is judged independently, is judged anonymously, but it's fantastic what's happening. Next slide, please. And these are some of the organizations that have been acknowledged with it. And some of them will kind of borderline or didn't quite make it. They learnt from the feedback from the judges, because we provided some lovely feedback. And then they can sort of build their plans going forward. And it includes things like KPIs and measures. Next slide, please. And here's some more. Next slide, please. So a couple of events. So tomorrow, lunchtime, how to become a Trailblazer. So we go through, and the wonderful Anna will and myself will go through what judges are looking for in the application, and it's an accreditation that your organization can get. Also, we've got a how to do it right workshop for tea break. So I think I talked within my group about tea break, and then also got get ready for Race Equality Week 2024. So in May, where we'll do a review of 2023. You've obviously had a sneak preview of some of the data, yeah. So here's 3 events that might be very helpful for yourselves or colleagues. So do let other colleagues know about it, and they're all free. Next slide, please. We've got a jobs board. Next slide, please. So here's some organizations that are promoting to try and get to a more diverse community. Again, yeah, please utilize that. And it also helps support Race Equality Matters, because we do look for some funding on that one. Next slide, please. Okay, so if we can just do the poll, please. If we can release the poll, thank you. Thank you all for completing poll 2. This helps us understand what's working in our events so we can make them better for you. And also it will help us understand what future content you would like. So in answer to poll, so question 1, would you recommend today's event to others? So 94% saying yes, so thank you to all of you. And 6% saying not sure. It'd be helpful for us to understand why, so we can help get you into the 100% category. Thank you. Question number 2. This is really important for us. Did you get new ideas to help you drive race equality? And 85% of you said yes, only 6% saying no, and 9% saying not sure. So again, really positive that you've all, or 85% of you, feel you've learned something new today. Were the discussion groups useful? So 88% of you said yes, only 1% of you said no. Again, it'd be helpful to hear from the 11% that are not sure. Maybe you didn't attend them, or there may be other reasons. But again, we'd love to learn from you. Thank you. Question number 4. How important do you think getting allies to be active to tackle race inequality is? So this scored 100% of important to extremely important, with 66% saying extremely important and 24% saying very important. An important stat that you can share with your colleagues, managers and organisation. So 100% think getting allies to be active to tackle race inequality is important to extremely important. Question 5. How important do you think KPIs and targets are to tackle race inequality? 2% of you said little. A further 98% said important to extremely important, with 80% of you of that group saying very and extremely important. So again, another stat to share with key decision makers in your organization, which you could hopefully help influence the importance of having KPIs to tackle race inequality. Question 6. How important do you think it is to make tackling race inequality everyone's business? So 77% saying extremely important, and there's 100% in total between important and extremely important. So no one scored outside that area. Question 7. Will you look to implement anything you learnt today to help make race equality everyone's business? So 73% said yes, and a further 13% would, but don't have the power and authority. So that's 86% would look to implement something they learned today to help make race equality everyone's business, which is fantastic. And only 2% said no. So the sessions you all collaborated in obviously helped each other learn and be inspired to create change going forward. So question 8, which is part 1, which of the following measures KPI targets will make an impact on race inequality? So there are 10 questions here, and we'll pull out the key ones. So 82% said racial diversity and representation, 75% ethnicity pay gap, 78% promotion of ethnically diverse talent, and 72% development opportunities, and 71% career progression and succession planning. So thank you all for that. So part 2 of the same question, which of the following measures, KPIs, targets will make an impact on race inequality? Again, lots of high scores here. 81% said increasing racial awareness and anti-racist learning. 75% anti-racist behaviour. That's looking at microaggressions and racism in the workplace. 75% inclusive behaviour and positive action. And 73% having policies and processes to uphold equitable practices. So collectively, you've scored most of these KPIs really highly. Final question 10, which of the following may be of interest? So 49% applying to be a trailblazer, 19% applying to be a trailblazer judge, and 31% posting jobs on the jobs board. So thank you all for that. And as the year progresses, we will share more information about events that will tackle especially some of the KPI subject matters you all addressed. So thank you all. Okay, so just to wrap up, so we need to say a big thank you to our partners and sponsors for all they do, because that provides this event for free and the solutions for free, etc. So if your organization would like to donate or sponsor future events or become a sponsorship partner, please do get in touch. So info@raceequalitymatters.com, and I will call you if that helps you, or if it's more encouraging, I won't call you, someone else will call you, so you can choose. This is to help us to keep doing what we're doing. We also want to say a big thank you to those organizations that have donated recently. We know the end result often starts with race networks recommending us for donations, so thank you. Next slide, please. Do sign up on our website if you haven't registered already, so you can stay up to date. And finally, a huge thanks to you all for attending today. We appreciate your lunch break and more. And hope to be in touch soon. And do sign up for our next events, which is on our website, and do look at the solutions. We will be sending the video and links to today's event in the next week or so. Please bear with us. We're a very small team, but if we've got more donations, we can get things to you quicker. So thank you all.